So I asked for a podium today because I'm an old-fashioned kind of girl in some ways. Now I have a big book here. You may have seen it once or twice. And I thought, how am I going to stick this book on this little, it's never going to work. So I'm doing the podium thing. So, all right. So Dr. James gave me some really good advice about giving a talk. He said, okay, Reverend Karen, start with a really strong opening, okay? End with a really strong finish. And put as little in between as possible. I was like, okay. How many minutes do I have? So I'm going to set my little timer. So I mentioned that I arrived and landed at NoHo Arts Center in about 2008. Reverend Doug LeBeau was the music director there. Robbie Gilman, Robbie and they're gone. They've disappeared. Robbie and Ray were in the band. I sang a couple of songs, and then they invited me back, and I was really thrilled. So that began a love affair and an educational awakening for me that has lasted all this time. I went into practitioner training. I had taken it once before. I took Prac 1 twice. So those of you who, I did it twice. The first time, I take full responsibility. I had a lot going on. My father was dying of cancer. I was getting a divorce. Gosh, what wasn't happening? I think there maybe wasn't an earthquake that year. Other than that, I was really, I think I was absorbed in other stuff. You know how you get? And sometimes the message, you're just not ready to hear it. And they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. James Mellon appeared, and I was ready. And I didn't know I was really ready. He said, why don't you take practitioner training? I said, I tried that. And I don't know. I'm a singer. I'll just do that. He's like, no, I think you'd be really, really good at doing that. And what that meant to me was that he saw something in me that I didn't see myself. Has that ever happened to you before where someone has been your mirror and they kind of see something in you that you never even knew was there? They discovered something about you. I'm going to use that word as many times as I possibly can. They discovered something about you that you didn't even know was there. So Dr. James discovered something in me that I didn't know was there. How many of you were here Wednesday night for the Words and Music with Karen Mitchell? A few of you were here. We had a blast. Gosh, it was really fun. And one thing I discovered about myself was that I was kind of an unusual kid in that for someone who said she never wanted to be a minister, I used to play minister when I was like 5 or 6. How weird is that, right? I don't know anyone else who did that. I used to but it was like a sarcastic minister. It wasn't like, it was like a comedian minister. So we would have, my brother and sister and I would have a babysitter. Her name was Mrs. Brain. God bless her. Mrs. Brain was completely deaf. So we just wreaked havoc. We would be smashing on things and pounding drums, going. My dad was a musician. We always had instruments all around the house. So we're doing all that. And then I would grab the Bible. And, I had a grandfather who was a Pentecostal minister, not unlike Dr. James's brother. And so we would listen to him, and he was, doing his own thing and sort of misquoting Bible verses and kind of, being very passionate about it, and that was his thing. So I kind of copied him. So I would just get a little podium, kind of like this, made of, boxes of toys or whatever, and my brother and sister would sit out there, and I would just go. I would just riff on being a minister. Sinners, beware! The day is coming, Judgment Day! And they would just laugh. Weird kid, right? I know. And then when I was about 9, I would do my own Easter sunrise service for myself. Like, what was I thinking? I don't know. But nobody else got up. They're all like, leave me alone. Get out of there. Go ahead. I would do a little song on my guitar. I had a little, sort of order of service for myself. So apparently Dr. James saw something going on that I didn't see, despite that odd childish behavior. So my lyrics in my song talk exactly about what Dr. Ellen was saying. And as far as this being the third little section, in the beginning of this book, there are 4 little sections before chapter 1. And it's the thing itself, what it does, how it works, and how to use it. Right? Reverend Nancy is correcting me on that? Yeah? Okay. She's my checkpoint there. So we're in this third zone of kind of what it does. And then, next time comes how it works. And you practitioners are already learning that. You can drink from the river with a thimble. You can drink from the river with a cup. You can open a pipeline to let it flow through. This is all up to us. You get that, right? Yeah? This is the receptivity that Ellen was talking about. So if you look at it that, everything is already there. The perfect, beautiful universe is already happening. We're swimming in it. We're in it. It's in us. But it can only give to us as much as we can accept. Did anyone ever give you a compliment and say, oh, I love your dress. Oh, this old thing. No. Oh, I've had this for years. No. So I think many times we deflect, we reject, we're afraid. We're not, as Marianne Williamson says, we're not so afraid of failure as we are of our success. We're afraid of shining too brightly. At least I can speak for myself. That was my story, yes. Too afraid to shine too brightly and then make other people feel bad. Because then if I'm too special, somebody's going to have a hurt feeling and it's not going to be a good thing. So that was kind of my thing between my comedian reverend acts when I was a kid. So we're talking about the law of correspondence. We're talking about the mental equivalent. And I am really passionate about this. I've got my book, so this is serious. So really hear what we're saying here. Okay. The limit of our ability to demonstrate, meaning for stuff to show up in our life that we want to show up in our life, to demonstrate it, to manifest it. The limit of our ability to demonstrate depends upon our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desires. For the law of correspondence works from the belief to the thing. So the title of my talk today is Mind, Body, Spirit Detox. Okay, so it's January. Hello. This is the month. This is kind of an easy way to keep track, as Ellen said, keep track of a whole year starting January. Okay, starting January. Now, when I talk about the mind, body, spirit detox, I'm not talking about losing weight or gaining weight. That may happen, either way. I'm not talking about quitting something, smoking, drinking, complaining. But that may happen when you start to really focus on what's happening inside you and why you're doing what you do. So mind, body, spirit is all, of course, connected. It's hard to really separate them from each other, but we do know that what's happening in here and in here shows up out there as our experience. Are you with me? Yep. You agree, right? Does that make sense? Yep. So we're going to break it down just a little bit. So let's just look at the body, okay? And you know that we are the microcosm for the macrocosm. So we're the small version of the whole creative process, each one of us. That teaching symbol of the science of mind, that big circle, which is allness, which is everything, the oversoul. Then there's the top section, which is that intention, that thought, that creative mind, that creative thought that gets everything going, that plants that seed into that middle section, which is unformed substance. It's like molten lava. It can take any shape we tell it to take. And it doesn't care who you are or how much money you have. It acts the same for all. And then what happens is we plant that seed into that unformed substance and it shows up. So when we're talking about our body, when we are, not eating clean, when we're, overindulging or we're not taking care of ourselves, it kind of shows up in our body. Either we start becoming diabetic, we get high blood pressure, multitude of diseases can show up, yes? So that's one way in which we can actually detox our body, not just in January, something that can last forever, the rest of your actual life here on this planet. You can actually think what goes in shows up outside. It shows up, what's our largest organ? Anybody? Skin. The skin. You guys are so smart. Okay, yes. So I know now what shows up, what goes in here shows up through my skin even. And what I put on my skin, I'm actually absorbing into my liver, my kidneys, my stomach, my pancreas, my spleen. So let's detox our body by being conscious consumers, conscious self-caregivers, yeah? Let's put things in that actually show up in a wonderful way. And it's not about weight. It's not about any sort of outlined idea that you have. It's all about putting in what's important. And that's for our body. We've got the mind. So I'm talking about now the little m mind, which is my Karen mind that says, that sort of whispers to me, you're too old to be a success. You're too old to have a hit song. You can't possibly do that. You're 20 pounds overweight. Why do you think you're attractive? That's that little voice in there that wants to take me down. Does anybody have one of those? I don't know. I thought it was just me. That little voice tries to take us down. Why is that? It's fear. It's fear of our greatness, as we talked about before. So guess what? We can detox that. We can detox our mind by, hanging with cool people like you guys, hanging with people that are spiritually conscious, right? Filling our mind with positive affirmations. Read the news. Yeah, don't live under a rock. Science of mind is not about living under a rock. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yes, it is all good in the bigger picture, but it looks like poop now. And, nobody's gonna convince me that that's not poop, because it is poop. But if I step back far enough, I know that the poop, even has a purpose in teaching me something to discover about myself. So, the old BS belief system is in charge when we're letting that little voice tell us those things. So take charge. Take charge by recognizing the spirit part. Okay? So take charge and be in the driver's seat. The ego is important to keep us out of dangerous situations, to alert us to issues that may be coming up, maybe when we are taking things too seriously. But the ego should be in the back seat. And you can kind of glance in the rearview mirror, but you don't actually drive looking into the rearview mirror. You drive forward looking through the front windshield, right? Yes. So, spirit. The last thing, all connected, all hooked up together. What can we do to detox spirit-wise? We're doing it. You're here. Congratulations. I was in a group of people several months ago, and some were ministers, and some of the ministers were saying, one or two ministers were saying, yeah, I kind of do a spiritual practice, but, I mostly just, pray, and then I don't really have to do kind of anything else. And the James Mellon in me kind of went, what? Because if we don't do the spiritual practice in here, then we're leaving it up to other people's choices to decide how our life is going to look. So spiritual practice can be walking around in a beautiful nature setting. I'm not talking anything difficult here. I'm not talking doing lotus position, which I cannot do, and sitting there for an hour and trying to be comfortable and not scratch your nose and not breathe and not think about the grocery list. That is also good. Meditation is a wonderful practice, but it's not what we think. Meditation is not emptying your mind. You can't empty your mind. Have you tried? It's impossible. But what we do with meditation is we're trying to train our mind. We're training the mind to come back to the breath, to come back to the breath, and just let the other stuff slide off. And we're establishing a connection to that inner spirit within. So there's a detox there, right? That feels really good to do. Start with 2 minutes, 1 minute. Just close your eyes and listen to your breath. Take a walk in nature. Sing, chant. Download some New Thought music. There's so many great. Margaret Owens has discs that you can listen to that are amazingly inspirational. Karen Mitchell has a couple of songs that are that are interesting and inspirational, hopefully. But that's a detox. So what I'm talking about is a lifestyle here. I'm not talking about a 5-minute or a 2-week change. I'm talking about, like Ellen said, walking the talk. If we want our life to be different, what are we going to discover about ourselves? So we go deeper. We discover what we are trying to let go. Has anyone seen the Tidying Up show? Okay, I just have to start this. Okay, right? So there's this wonderful woman, Marie Kondo, this little tiny Japanese woman who goes to people's homes, and their homes are usually a disaster of clutter, etc. And all different kinds of groups of family, little kids, no kids, empty nesters, everybody. And she goes in and she brings a spirituality. She greets the house, she sits on the floor, she gets a vibe from the house. And, that's her thing. And she goes in and then she says, okay, we start with clothes, and they pile everything out of their closet, everything. Forgive everything. Everything comes out of the closet and onto a big pile on the bed. And then they hold each clothing item. And she says, if it sparks joy, keep it. If it doesn't spark joy, bless it and put it in that pile over there, which you're going to give away. Wow, that's a great spiritual practice, right? And you get your closet cleaned out. I'm going to do it as soon as I have to schedule that. But I'm going to schedule it. My husband's going to do it too, and I think he should go first. Okay, so I think I'm probably like way over time. Am I over time now? Probably. But anyway, I'm winding it down. And what I want to say is, Ernest Holmes says in this little segment what it does. Ernest Holmes says, to return to a sane simplicity is one of the first and most important things to do. Now, did he say it was easy? He didn't mention that part. But I think it really is one of the first and most important things to do. Clean out those closets. Clean out your mind. Clean out your body. And your spirit should be in charge. So that's what Ernest Holmes says there. And I just want to leave you with this last thing from Ernest Holmes, reminding us that there's no limit to thought. Okay, take a deep breath, everybody. I want you to really absorb this through your skin and your ears and everything. Okay. Ernest Holmes says, here and now, we are surrounded by, immersed in, an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? All of it, in capital letters, he says, all of it. And how much of it may we have to use? As much of it as we can embody. That's it. So discover what needs to be uncovered, discarded, release it, and make space. Make space to embody that greater good. Namaste.